Usha? That's your man? That's your man right there? You in danger, girl. Let me tell you something. My husband has a lot of female friends. I've met all of them. We're real cool. We're cordial. Don't none of them hug him like that, because it would be a conversation. It would be a snatch and grab. Okay. What's that hand doing right there? What are you doing?
The hug between Erica Kirk and JD Vance was absolutely inappropriate. If you're someone who's in a committed relationship, you do not caress anyone but your partner like that. So would you caress your brother, your dad, your uncle, your stepdad, any family? Would you caress them like that when you gave him a heartwarming hug? Most people would say no. I know there's people out there who would say yes, but there's always going to be freaks. That is a hug that you give someone that you lay in bed with, someone that you're close with.
I'm not one to gossip, but there are a lot of people out there saying, secret lover.
It was an unusual scene. The instant Erica Kirk placed her arms around JD Vance on stage, the audience seemed to freeze. It wasn't just a friendly gesture between political partners. There was something more personal in that embrace, something that broke the usual sense of formality. Within hours, the image was everywhere online. What began as an ordinary public appearance suddenly exploded into speculation and debate about what might really be going on between them.
After reviewing the footage of Erica Kirk with JD Vance, it deadass feels like a MAGA fanfic. Like, Erica Kirk, the way she speaks about that man is the way that my best friends in middle school would talk about Harry Styles. Like, there are sparkles in her eyes. I've never in my life been like, there's a spark. They're fucking. Fucking awesome. TikTok algorithm, please don't make this ineligible for recommendation like you do with all my videos. I have to peel every single time, and then you approve it for no reason. Like, it's like ordinary girl just happens to get caught up with some Trump pageantry and shot right up to the top, and then tragedy leads to romance. I can't believe any of those words just came out of my mouth and formed sentences, and I sincerely apologize. Dude, the way they're hugging, it's giving my mom just sold me to One Direction. Dude, this is more public display of affection than when Laura Boebert or whatever was like publicly getting her boobs felt up in the movie theater or whatever the fuck, wherever she was. Like, that was bad. This is like, oh, like you're sleeping together.
Wait a second. What was that? The way Erica introduced JD felt nothing like a standard political introduction. Her voice carried warmth, a personal touch that hinted at familiarity rather than formality. Each sentence sounded less like a campaign speech and more like someone speaking fondly about a person they truly know. That brief exchange made the audience sense an emotional undercurrent, something subtle yet undeniable, stretching beyond the setting of a public event. But before diving into the theories, the photos, and the body language breakdowns, we need to rewind a bit, back to the exact moment Erica Kirk took the stage, smiled, and said,
"No one will ever replace my husband. No. But I do see some similarities of my husband in JD and Vice President JD Vance. I do. And that's why I'm so blessed to be able to introduce him tonight. JD Vance."
The energy in the room shifted instantly. One embrace, one lingering glance, and suddenly millions were asking the same question. Was this simple friendship or something far more personal? It didn't sound like a colleague praising another colleague. Her words carried the weight of emotion, as if she were speaking about someone she deeply admired, someone who meant more to her than she was willing to admit publicly. And when Erica drew a comparison between JD and her late husband, Charlie Kirk, the atmosphere grew electric. The audience fell silent, caught between shock and curiosity.
Holy shit, they are trying to replace Usha Vance with Erica Kirk. Because Erica Kirk and JD Vance is their Christian nationalist wet dream. And you won't convince me otherwise. What is this? What is this body language? When did we start putting our hands up in the hair of our friends when we hug? Yeah, no. You don't. This is weird. Oh, and then there's this one. JD, why are your hands so low? There's no reason for them to be on her hips, but there they are. But if that's not enough, here is her introducing him at Turning Point.
I am tremendously blessed and honored tonight to be able to introduce to you a very, very dear friend and his wife. They are incredible. And I see no one will ever replace my husband. No. But I do see some similarities of my husband in JD and Vice President JD Vance. I do.
And if you're not convinced yet that they're trying to replace her with Erica Kirk, this is him when asked by a student about him and his wife's difference in like their religious beliefs, and he ends it with this.
Do I hope eventually that she is somehow moved by the same thing that I was moved in by church? Yeah, I honestly do wish that, because I believe in the Christian gospel, and I hope eventually my wife comes to see it the same way.
He wants her to fall in line. He wants her to be a Christian nationalist just like him. And if he can't convince her, he'll find a new one.
She mentioned that there were striking similarities between the two men, a statement that made viewers stop, replay the clip, and question if they'd heard her right. Some found her words deeply moving, especially knowing she was still coping with the pain of losing her husband. It wasn't the kind of thing most people would dare to say on a public stage, and that's what made it so memorable. But what truly sent social media into a frenzy happened moments later. When JD stepped up beside her, they embraced, and it didn't come across as a routine, polite hug. JD's arm rested gently around Erica's waist, while she leaned closer, creating a sense of quiet intimacy that surprised everyone watching. There was nothing inappropriate or overt about it, yet the subtle way they looked at each other, the closeness of their stance, it all felt different, unusual. Not the kind of body language people expect between political figures in front of cameras. And that's when the real question started to echo online. What are we actually seeing here? Is this a genuine, unscripted moment, or something more deliberate, perhaps even staged? While many continue to dissect every frame of that interaction, others believe there's an even larger story unfolding beneath the surface.
Married men, to my married men out there, and taken men as well, all right? When you hug another woman that is not your partner, are you doing full body hug? And the hand on the waist? Bruh, the hand on the waist. Are you able to walk back to your partner, to your boo thing, without having your head completely removed from your body? Those photos and that moment was weird. And again, aren't you like hugging them like this? Butt out, like this. You're not doing the whole pelvis to pelvis, holding the waist, her hand in the back of your head. I'm telling you right now, you are not going to be alive the next morning.
It was that small, almost imperceptible moment, the gentle tone in her voice, the heartfelt comparison to her late husband, and that seemingly innocent hug that ignited the internet. What began as harmless chatter quickly spiraled into something much bigger. Once the photos from the event started circulating, the conversation shifted entirely. These weren't blurred screenshots or manipulated edits. They were crisp, genuine images that spoke louder than words. In one, JD's arm rests comfortably around Erica's waist. Not inappropriate, but close enough to make people look twice. In another, Erica leans toward him, her head slightly tilted, eyes soft, her posture radiating a familiarity that felt far more personal than political. It was subtle, yet emotionally charged, the kind of body language that suggests connection rather than campaign formality. What made these images even more powerful was when they were taken, only a few months after the passing of Charlie Kirk, a time when the public believed Erica was still in quiet mourning, surrounded by family, keeping her distance from the spotlight. And yet, here she was, standing beside another prominent figure, sharing warm glances that seemed to tell a different story. Since then, one question has continued to echo across social media. Was this simply a bond between two people who understand each other, or a glimpse of something deeper taking shape behind the scenes?
So, does anyone else think JD Vance's first wife, Usha, might be looking for an exit plan right about now? I mean, It's bad enough that she's married to a guy who went on national TV and said it's totally fine for Americans to want to live next to people who are just like them and speak the same language. Then, she has to sit back and watch him all over Erica Kirk, who, let's be real, looks like she's trying to lock down another famous guy. But it doesn't stop there. JD Vance literally goes on stage and shames his wife for not being Christian, saying he hopes she'll convert and find the right path. As if that's not enough, he also ties immigration to assimilation, which, if you know anything about Usha's upbringing in a traditional Hindu immigrant family, makes this whole situation extra awkward. I don't know about you, but I can't imagine many women would be cool with their husband talking about them like that in public and then getting all touchy-feely with another recently widowed woman in front of everyone. That's just...
All of it unfolded right there, under the glare of hundreds of cameras. For many, the moment felt both surprising and puzzling. It happened so quickly that viewers barely had time to process it before speculation exploded online. Almost immediately, people began drawing comparisons to celebrity award shows. Those rare instances when two stars share a stage and their chemistry feels so effortless, so natural, that audiences can't help but wonder if there's something more beneath the surface. One glance, one touch, one fleeting connection, and suddenly the internet has a brand new mystery to obsess over. Social media lit up within hours, and honestly, it's easy to see why. The clip left people divided, intrigued, curious, even confused. Everyone's replaying the footage over and over again, asking the same thing. What exactly are we watching? What's really happening between Vice President JD Vance and Erica Kirk?
Erica Kirk would be the best First Lady option for the next election. Now, am I insinuating anything? No. I'm just documenting my thoughts out loud. I don't understand this until I understood that JD Vance's wife is Hindu, not a Christian. She doesn't believe in Christianity. He does. They have an inter-religious marriage. But wouldn't it be the wet dream of sorts for the Christian nationalists and Make America Great Again Christians and regular Christians for Erica Kirk and JD Vance to be coupled up?
The hug itself wasn't overtly intimate, yet it wasn't formal enough to be brushed off as a routine public gesture either. It existed somewhere in between, that gray space where meaning feels uncertain, subtle enough to seem innocent, yet personal enough for the internet to immediately take notice. And once those images spread online, the narrative shifted. What started as a touching introduction quickly evolved into something far more complicated. Viewers began asking the obvious question: was this simply two people finding comfort in shared grief, or a quiet sign of something deeper beginning to form? But that was just the surface, because once the internet stepped in, analyzing, comparing, connecting, the story exploded. Users began piecing together dates, photos, and quotes, turning fragments into a timeline. Every detail, every glance, every phrase was scrutinized, and soon the moment transformed from a simple hug into a full-blown online obsession. Charlie Kirk's death is still fresh in everyone's memory. It's been less than a year, maybe just a few months, since Erica faced that devastating loss. Normally, someone in her position might retreat from public life or appear briefly surrounded by family for emotional support. But Erica's reappearance on stage and the warmth she shared with JD Vance caught everyone off guard. It wasn't just that she was smiling again, it was who she was smiling at and how. Many observers pointed out that Erica and JD didn't seem like two people bound only by shared sorrow. The easy flow of their conversation, the natural gestures, the closeness in their eyes, it all felt too familiar, too effortless, as if the connection went beyond sympathy. For many, the timing made everything look less like an emotional, spur-of-the-moment reaction and more like a connection that had been quietly growing beneath the surface. Almost instantly, the internet erupted with opinions. Some users claimed, "This doesn't look like something new. It feels like something we're only just now seeing."
Others compared the situation to celebrity rebound stories, those moments when fans later realized the relationship may have started long before anyone knew. There's no concrete evidence, of course, but the timing alone was enough to fuel endless speculation. Because if two people can appear that comfortable and close in public just months after a profound loss, it naturally makes people wonder what might be happening away from the cameras. Soon, online detectives began pulling up old footage, behind-the-scenes clips, and photos from previous events where Erica and JD had crossed paths. And with each discovery, a new question surfaced. Was this truly an accidental moment caught on stage, or simply the first public glimpse of something that had been there all along? But the intrigue didn't stop there. Shortly afterward, JD Vance's own remarks began stirring fresh debate, comments that only added to the confusion. As the story spread, people revisited his recent interviews, searching for clues. Not long before the event with Erica, JD had spoken candidly about his marriage, making statements that many found unusual. In one interview, he mentioned hoping his wife would embrace the same faith he had found, a comment some interpreted as him wanting her to change her religion.
JD's words didn't sound sarcastic, yet there was something about his tone, a subtle distance, an underlying sense of unease. Usually when public figures speak about their spouses after years of marriage, their words carry warmth, respect, or at least a trace of shared affection. But JD's remarks felt different. They sounded less like a reflection of love and more like an observation, as though he were describing something he wished to change rather than something he cherished. It wasn't harsh or cold, but it also lacked the harmony one might expect from a content partnership. So when the internet revisited that onstage moment between JD and Erica through this new perspective, another theory began to take shape. Could JD be dealing with an emotional void at home, a quiet gap in connection? And could Erica, still grieving from her own loss, be someone he found comfort and understanding in? From that point forward, those soft, seemingly innocent photographs began to take on a new meaning. What once looked like empathy between two people sharing similar pain now appeared to some as the early signs of something deeper, a connection quietly forming in the background where the boundary between compassion and attraction started to blur. Soon, the online conversation shifted completely. The question was no longer, is this too soon, but rather, are we witnessing the beginning of a relationship that crosses emotional boundaries? And that's when the story truly caught fire. Was it just an offhand remark? Or was it one of those rare, unguarded moments when the public glimpsed something deeper? A part of JD's inner world that hinted at longing, at something missing in his marriage. That single question set off an entirely new wave of speculation. What began as quiet curiosity quickly snowballed into a full-blown narrative. Once the clip went viral, social media did what social media does best. It started digging. And from there, the focus shifted from one ambiguous interaction to a supposed pattern that, according to many users, had been unfolding long before anyone noticed. Across TikTok, X, Twitter, and Instagram, people began posting screenshots, video snippets, and side-by-side comparisons, all claiming that the chemistry between Erica and JD wasn't new at all. They unearthed older footage from past events where they had shared a stage or appeared together at group functions. And as those moments were replayed, frame by frame, viewers began spotting what they believed were subtle signs. Exchanged looks, soft smiles, and quiet conversations off camera that seemed far more personal than professional.
There's something. As a professional cheater catcher, there are some tells here, okay? One, this hand here on the hip is too familiar, okay? It's too low. That's a sex cut. Nobody does this.
The hand on the waist.
It's her hand here. No, I think that this is a little low for a married man with 2 children, okay? And I think his arms.
That's like grab the back of the head kind of hair thing.
Spread out hand here, the low here. I just think it's the full embrace. Intimate.
Some posts even claimed that insiders had long noticed how Erica and JD interacted. Their exchanges light, relaxed, and perhaps a little too familiar for a purely professional relationship. One viral comment summed it up perfectly.
You can't create that kind of closeness in a few weeks. It had to exist before. Digging deeper, users began revisiting older photos taken before Charlie Kirk's passing, and that's when things took an interesting turn. Hidden among those old posts were comments like, "They look adorable together." At the time, it seemed harmless, even sweet, but viewed through the lens of the current situation, those same words took on a completely different meaning. There's still no concrete proof of anything beyond speculation, yet the accumulation of small details fueled a growing belief online that what happened on stage wasn't random, but rather the moment when a long-suspected connection finally became impossible to ignore. Adding to the frenzy was the deafening silence from both Erica and JD. No clarifications, no social media statements, not even a brief attempt to calm the storm. That quiet became part of the narrative itself. Because in the public eye, when a story spreads like wildfire and the people at its center say nothing, it often deepens the sense that something must be there. After all, why stay silent when your name and image are being discussed everywhere? And as the screenshots, clips, and commentary continued to multiply across every platform, the story began to shift. It no longer looked like harmless rumor mongering, it was starting to feel like a full-blown celebrity-style scandal. And at the heart of this growing storm, a new conversation began to take shape, one about double standards. Social media was quick to notice the double standard. Many pointed out that if any other public figure, particularly someone known for promoting family values or portraying themselves as the picture of loyalty, had been in JD's place, the public backlash would have been far harsher. Commenters compared the situation to classic Hollywood scandals, where celebrities who often preach about devotion and moral integrity are suddenly caught in moments that suggest otherwise. And the internet, of course, never lets such contradictions slide. In this case, viewers felt they were witnessing the same story, only this time wrapped in politics, subtle gestures, and undeniable tension. The silence that followed didn't calm the storm, it fanned the flames. That's what made this particular moment between Erica and JD so unforgettable. For many, it wasn't just the hug, it was everything surrounding it. The emotional tone of her introduction, the mention of her late husband, and the delicate timing of it all painted a picture no one expected to see from Erica. Then came the silence. No statements, no clarifications, not even a small attempt to define what had really happened. It was as if the entire situation had been quietly brushed aside, expected to fade into the background. But that quiet made people even more suspicious. Viewers began to feel like they were being asked to ignore something that was clearly there. And if there's one thing the internet can't resist, it's a mystery that everyone pretends doesn't exist. That lack of response had the same energy as when a celebrity is photographed in a compromising situation and simply stays silent, hoping the noise will die down. But as always, that silence only made the story bigger and far more intriguing.
What began as a debate over double standards soon evolved into something much bigger. The internet's curiosity turned into investigation. People began asking, what if this moment wasn't accidental at all? What if it was the start of a story quietly unfolding in real time? Within days, old clips, photos, and subtle interactions between Erica and JD began resurfacing. What once seemed like a harmless, emotional moment now started to look deliberate. And with every new piece of evidence, one question spread across social media. How many coincidences can happen before it stops being a coincidence? When viewers started connecting the dots, the picture became impossible to ignore. This wasn't looking like an isolated moment anymore. It was beginning to resemble a pattern forming right in front of everyone's eyes. The first clue was the timing. Erica and JD's closeness didn't happen a year later after grief had softened or time had passed. It came just months after her husband's death, a period when most people retreat, stay private, and avoid the public gaze. Yet there JD was, not awkward or distant, but entirely at ease, as if his presence there was completely natural. Then came the chemistry. Their small smiles, the subtle gestures, the quiet familiarity between them, it all felt far too effortless.
This wasn't the kind of connection that forms spontaneously under bright lights and rolling cameras. It felt rehearsed by time, not circumstance. And that's when people realized maybe this wasn't the first time something seemed off. Maybe it was just the first time anyone truly noticed. But what sealed the mystery was the silence that followed. No clarifications, no denials, not even a simple post from either Erica or JD saying, "People are reading too much into it." Nothing. Just silence. The kind that says more than words ever could. That lingering silence left a vacuum, and as always, the internet rushed to fill it. Theories poured in from every corner, each one trying to make sense of what really happened. None of it offered any concrete proof, of course, but when the timing, the closeness, and the quiet that followed aligned so perfectly, it's hard not to wonder, was that moment simply spontaneous emotion, or the first glimpse of a story that began long before the world caught on? And that's where we reached the most delicate point. The conclusion no one can truly confirm, yet everyone keeps searching for. Depending on where you stand, the story takes on a completely different shape. Seen one way, it's an emotional scene, a grieving widow finding warmth after tragedy. Seen another, it's a subtle crossing of boundaries where sympathy turns into something deeper. And for many, it's neither, just the quiet start of a new chapter the public wasn't ready to accept. When you line up all the pieces, the heartfelt introduction, the gentle embrace, the timing so soon after Charlie's death, and the unbroken silence that followed, it's easy to understand why that single moment captivated millions. It had everything: emotion, timing, intimacy, and mystery. Maybe that's why it struck such a chord. Because in the end, how we interpret it might reveal more about us than about them. So what was it really? A brief spark of comfort? A silent connection that's been there all along? Or the quiet beginning of something larger than anyone imagined? Whatever the truth may be, one thing's certain: that moment changed the way the world sees Erica and JD. And it's a moment that won't fade from memory anytime soon.